Hello everyone and welcome for another video of Love and Wargames. In this video, we will take a look at the Hachiman Battlefleet Set, which is the latest release for the Empire, and more specifically for the Japanese subfaction. So we'll take a look at what is inside the box, what are the different units that you can build, and there are quite a few choices, and we will especially look at how you can play these boxes, how each unit plays, which little synergies you can find, and then finally how you can expand from there. Like, okay, you have the Hachiman, you like it very much, you would like a little bit more. What are some good ways to expand this force? First things, before we go further in detail, how do you actually play with the Empire? There are a few general things that we have to talk about before. First of all, the Empire has quite a few sub-factions, and they are all very different, more so than for other bigger nations. For example, you have the Chinese, which have a lot of flamethrowers, and they play a lot with alchemicals, even more than Japanese. And yeah, they're quite good at point-blank range. They have some flying dragons. They are very much made to play with the alchemical rule and to play with all their flamethrowers. So they are very good, but they're quite different, both in terms of aesthetics and how they play. The Japanese are much more tough. Their ships are very points efficient. They are very resilient. They will do what they are supposed to do very good. Don't have so many tricks and so many combos, etc. They're just good, like just good from the datasheet, and they have some very good submarines, probably some of the best submarines of the entire game, and the only submarines for the Empire. And they have one rule, the Japanese, that we need to talk about right now, which is most of their ships, and actually all of their ships, have Shadow Hunter, which means that at the end of the deployment phase, you can redeploy all the units with this rule. And usually against a normal opponent, it means that you can deploy however you want, and at the end of the deployment phase, you can redeploy all your Japanese ships. That is extremely strong because Dystopian Wars is a game of movement and positioning, first of all. So if you can deploy basically after knowing exactly where your opponent will be, this is such a good ability, and it's really, I cannot insist too much on how strong this is, but basically for every ship that we will talk about, remember that it will most likely be deployed exactly where you want to be after you know exactly where your opponent will be. So that is something really to keep in mind. And then there is another subfaction that will come later on, which is the Koreans, and they do have access to most of the flying ships and sky fortresses and sky bastion stuff, and they look very cool from the concept art, but they are not released yet. They might come during this summer or maybe a little bit later, and we are very impatient to have them. The Koreans will be the air power part of the Empire. So what do you actually get in the Hachiman Battlefleet set? You have a lot of plastic, as you can see on the right part, like that is a lot. It costs £85, which is a reasonable amount for what you get. Like, you do have so many units. I mean, look at how many ships you get. This is a lot, and you especially have the big one. The Japanese Dreadnought can be built as 3 different variations, and we will take a look later at each and every one of them and how they can play. They're quite different, each of them, so they are worth spending a little bit of time on this. Then you have 3 Japanese Frontline cruisers, which are those, and as you can see, there are so many variants. We'll take a quick look at each of them. Very good ships, all of them, but again, quite different in how they play. Then you have 3 Japanese support cruisers or submarine cruisers, which are those, if you can see my mouse on the screen. Again, you have 6 different variations, which means and they can really play different. There are some of those that are not so efficient and some of those that are really good, so we'll need to talk about this as well. You get 6 Kyoto frigates, very fast and agile ships and quite cheap and good. You have 3 Sakata destroyers, those extremely efficient, like I really like them. They play a little bit like Excaliburs, we'll talk about them later on. And finally, you have 3 Japanese Hunter submarines, which are those Mass 1 submarines, quite good and cheap activation, let's say. And this is it for the playable units, let's say, but you have also 12 cheetah escorts token, those little squids. 12 starts to be more than you need to, but if you want to really focus on using cheetahs, and you absolutely can, then you will need all of them, and they are very cute, and they're good escorts anyway. You have 3 SLS tokens, in case you build some of the cruisers here as aircraft carriers, they can be. And finally 3 exosub tokens in case you build the Hachiman version of the Dreadnought, or in case you use 1 or 2 of the submarines as also like exosubs carrier. Finally, last thing, and it's rare enough that I want to point it out, there is a quick Let's Starter book with the data sheets, with the building instructions. So it's a small book, but I know that some people really like to have the booklet with the building instructions, especially. It's there, it's worth pointing it out. Okay, now we have a look at the big ones. This is the Akita. This is a default version of the Dreadnought that you can build. It's a battleship, but a very, very tough battleship. This thing costs 332 points, and it might be the tankiest ship in the entire game for the point cost. This thing has armor 8, okay. Citadel 17, that is a lot. 11 hull points before it gets crippled, and then it has 5 more. Wow. And it has a huge ADV and SDV value. Plus, it has an inbuilt shield generator. I mean, wow, that is crazy. And what is, if you really want to make it an anvil, and I would recommend you to do so, the rear heavy gun battery that you can see a little bit hidden here, you can replace it with a generator. Not a shroud, because it would not interact good with the shield, but you can either make it a Great Wall generator, which is already very good. It means that it will have in effect armor 12. Like, what? So it's almost invulnerable to small arms attack at this point with a shield generator on top. Or you can give it an interface generator, which is also good. It's a bit more risky. It means that it will be invulnerable if it doesn't get Citadel Breach, but it's only usable once every other turn. And if you get a Citadel Breach, you will get a shield, generator offline disorder effect, which means it will also deactivate your shield generator, which is it's a bit more risky but stronger to have the interface generator. But if you're just like you want something a little bit like, let's say, chill, I would say put a Great Wall generator, which means if your opponent doesn't make 12 hits, you will not even suffer a point of damage on the Akita. And with a shield generator, which means -3 dices, that is going to be a tough ordeal. Like, it's going to be, plus it has great ADV, great SDV. You're going to, of course, put some escorts. This thing is just going to tank anything. Usually I try to say, like, yeah, even if it's a big ship, don't put it in the middle of the board. No, the Akita, absolutely put it in the middle of the board and tell to your opponent, okay, try and deal with it. Go on. This thing is so tough. Like, it's not, it's funny. It is funny for you, and it's a little challenge for your opponent to try to deal with it. And it's not defenseless either. I mean, it has 3 frontal heavy gun batteries, which is, as we said, very good. It has heavy firepower, obviously. You can also upgrade them to heavy alchemical rockets, which of course will combo good with the small turrets on the side. It's going to be 3 heavy alchemical turrets and 2 smaller alchemical rockets, to the front. That's already insane. Plus, of course, heavy torpedoes, heavy broadside, everything. It is a very, very good ship. And it's quite easy to play. Like, as I said, just put it in the middle, shoot on things in front, on the side, and just don't die, because this thing will not die. It is very good. Plus, on top of that, it has a good capacity for support. It has inspirational, whatever, but it especially has priority signal, which means that when you want to activate your heavy firepower with this ship, and you will want with your 3 frontal heavy turrets, it will go off. It might consume you a little bit more cards, but it will go off. So overall, for 332 points, I would say this is absolutely a great ship. I would put it every day. It is in competition a little bit with the Congo battleship, which is also a very, very good ship. But it is so good, like especially with a rear generator that you can put inbuilt shield, then Great Wall. Like, it's so good. Like, I love it. And if there wasn't the Hachiman that we'll talk about right after, I would for sure build the Akita. And the Hachiman is so cool as well. Like, I really want to have 2 boxes just to have each variant, or you can magnetize. The Hachiman is, let's think of it as an aircraft carrier, okay, to start with. For an aircraft carrier, it is very tough. Armor 8, Citadel 16, and 7 hull points before it degrades, and then it has 9 more hull points. So wow. The only other aircraft carrier that can compare to this level of defensiveness is the Mozhaisky for the Russian, but the Mozhaisky is far from being as good as this, like, for sure. It has still some rockets, some heavy torpedoes, heavy broadsides, so yeah, it can still contribute a little bit, even though you its main attack is not this. If small ships come next to it, they will regret it. Plus it has mine layer, so you can drop a mine, don't forget it, it's always nice, 1 mine, okay. This thing can launch exosubs, and we need to focus for a second about what are exosubs. These exosubs are not SRS token, even if they work functionally the same. You deploy them at 40 inches, exactly the same as SRS tokens, but they don't get intercepted before they attack. SRS token, how does it work? Your opponent can try to shoot the aircraft down, and then that's it. And then you make your dices, and the enemy has to suffer it. The exosubs are going to work differently. They cannot be intercepted before they attack. However, your opponent will get to make their ADV or SDV to try to reduce the amount of dices. I have to admit this is better this way because each token of exosub will launch 5 dices. So it's actually work way better for you, and it means like your enemy cannot even try to completely cancel your air attack with, I don't know, with flag barrage, for example. Your exosubs absolutely don't care for flag barrage. The Hachiman can send 6 exosubs while at full potential, and then still 3, which is 3 times the amount of what the Mizushi submarines we'll see later have. Very good. And as we said, it's 5 dices. Either you have them with homing, so some rerolls, yay, and devastating and submerged, so you will play against the SDV. This is what I would recommend most of the time. Or 5 dices per token with homing, piercing, and aerial. And this is a little bit less strong, but it allows you to use your exosubs against aerial units, for example, which is very good. Or if your opponent has crazy amount of SDV and absolutely 0 ADV, it might be worth it to have it. But especially it means that your exosubs can go hunt some zeppelins or stuff. Yeah, very, very good tokens. The Hachiman costs 291 points. Let's remember for him that it has Shadow Hunter, so you will be in range of whatever you want at turn 1. And 6 exosubs, it means 30 dices with devastating at 40 inches. Cannot be intercepted. I mean, this thing is insane. 30 dices with devastating. It's basically guaranteed double citadel against anything. Like even if you have some SDV etc. with devastating, if you don't have bad luck, this will be a double citadel for whichever you point it at every turn at 40 inches. Wow, it's absolutely incredible. Plus, I just love the design. Like, it really reminds me of the white base of Gundam with this rail that are launching these little aircrafts. They look extremely cool, and just the exosub, you can see one in the back, they look very, very cool. It's not a mecha, but it is close enough, and they look amazing, and I absolutely love the Hachiman and the Mizuchis. I love these tokens, and you will see them in a battle report, of course, and expect to see like only Hachiman and Mizuchi in the list. I'm kidding, but I just love those very, very much. One thing to note though is that the Hachiman is huge. You can have a look at our unboxing video. This is a big boy, and it does mean that it will be very hard to hide it behind islands. Kind of the same problem as the Enterprise, for example. It is a large carrier, it does not want to get shot at. You might be able to hide a little bit, so it's gonna get to the benefit of being obscured behind an island, but your enemy will most of the time have the firing line to at least shoot a little bit on it, even if it is obscured. So be careful, it is tough for a carrier, but it's very, very hard to hide. And then we go to the third variant, which is the Matsumoto generator ship, and this is a very interesting ship. I'm not sure how good it will be, but it's very cool. Let's talk about it. It costs almost 300 points. It has the same defensive profile as the Hachiman, and it is a generator ship. This is already huge. We know how strong generator ships are. They are so strong that they are the reason there has been the nerf on the shield generators, because you could really make a whole fleet invincible, as you have seen a couple times in some of the battle reports. You have 3 generators, and you share the benefits of these generators with every ship, which are at least mass 2, within 7 inches. And you can really pile up the generators. For example, one good default configuration would be a shroud generator, so they are always obscured, magnetic generator, protection against SRS, and fury, so you can also go faster and have a better boarding, etc. This is already a good set. You could make a shield, for example, instead of the shroud, because shield plus shroud don't work good together. could work. Not sure it's the best choice though. So already very good, giving these benefits for free, like for every ship around. It's already very good, especially since Japanese cruisers have 2 frontal heavy gun batteries, so they usually don't want to kind of waste one of the heavy gun batteries to put a generator. So that is already very good. However, be careful, it has temperamental design, which means that you will not be able to make jury-rigged repair. So if you have a generator offline, that's it. It will be hard for you to repair. Then, the quite interesting thing about this Matsumoto generator ship is it's not only a generator ship. It has this super cool looking weapon. As you've seen from the unboxing, these like mirrors in the middle, they look really cool. And it's basically a wave motion gun. And this thing, it's a beam weapon, first of all, so you put a line and every ship on the line is going to be touched. And the further away the enemy ship is, the more dices you will throw. So that is already quite interesting. It of course means the Matsumoto wants to be far away from the enemy, in case you didn't know, like you, of course. And how does it work? You don't throw dices in the sense like you have, I don't know, 15 dice or whatever. You throw 1, 2, or 3 dices for each enemy ship, depending on how far they are. And depending on the result of these dices, you will be able to choose one of these results. So of course you will aim for the highest result up there, but you can choose only one, except if for your initial target, so the one ship that you declare as your initial target, you can convert 1 dice to be automatically this best result, let's say, and then you can apply the effect of another of the dices that you will have rolled. So that is really good. So your initial target can really suffer hard if you roll good, because the effects, like either you are blank and then bad luck, okay, nothing. You can at the minimum make a level of disorder, and then if you already have this, the single hit is going to be a critical hit, so critical damage, already good, and this is what you want. Double hit is going to be a catastrophic explosion, so it's going to have some disorder, it's going to have 2 hull points of damage, and it's going to get that's already going to be it, but very good. And for this one, it's going to be catastrophic explosion, what you just said, and another action die. So it means that in the best of luck, you have, if you throw 3 dices at your initial target will for sure have at least 1 catastrophic explosion, for sure, guaranteed, which is already good, and quite a few chances to have a second catastrophic explosion, which is going to be 2 critical, 2 sets of disorder, and probably it will go to the black and further, making even more damage, 4 hull points of damage, no matter the armor, no matter the shield, etc. So that is incredible. Of course, you want to put the Matsumoto, or you want to point at the toughest ship of the enemy, because you kind of ignore the armor or everything, you ignore the defenses, you just make some damages, so that is crazy good. If you point it at the Rurik frigates from the Commonwealth, yeah, you don't get the same value. And then there is a named version of this, which is the Shinzuan Nyoi. I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm sorry. It costs a lot more, 50 points more at 349. You lose temperamental design, which is very good, but you have a fixed set of generators. A Great Wall generator, Magma generator, and Magnetic. The Great Wall and the Magma, you can only have them on this ship if you have the name version, because they are not available for the default Matsumoto. They're quite good. Great Wall, as we've said, increase your armor, depending on your mass. Okay, and Magma, it's basically a cryo generator from the Russians. You can either make a blast attack, very good, especially if you start to pile down a lot of cruisers, and you can pop up some islands. Again, if you have a large fleet with a lot of ships, having a lot of Magma generators on each of them, it's going to be very strong against your opponent. You can really spam the attack at point blank and closing range, or spam the islands. This is going to be very strong, but you will want to be packed around the Matsumoto, the Shinzuan Yoi. And if your enemy has a lot of blasts, it's going to be tough for you. Plus, and the last bonus but not least, you gain Fortunes of War. Amazing, you always want a source of Fortunes of War in your list, and the Shinzuan Yoi has it. However, it also gains Strategic Asset, which means that if it survives until the end of the game, you gain +1 victory points, but as soon as it is destroyed or warded by your enemy, the enemy gains 1 point if it is sunk by a boarding action, if I remember correctly. So it will be a priority target for your opponent, for sure, even more than it should be. So be very careful to keep it in the back line, have your whole fleet in front of it, and protect it very well, because it will for sure be the #1 ship that your enemy will want to sink. Just for the fluff part, it is a strategic asset because it is the ship of the Japanese Empress. So of course it's fluffy as well, that you really protect it as hard as you can if it is on the table. Okay, now that we've seen the big dreadnoughts, let's have a look now at the frontline cruisers. We'll go quite fast because we've talked about it recently in the how to start with the Japanese Empire faction video. Basically, the Osaka, it's very good for default cruiser. Citadel 13, which is high for a default cruiser, 105 points, not that expensive. It has 2 frontal heavy gun batteries, elite crew, so it can board, and focused gunnery. I don't know what to say. This is incredible. With Shadowhunter, this is probably the best cruiser of the game, like for the point cost. Citadel 13, frontal heavy gun battery, elite crew, focused gunnery. This is so much for the package for what you pay. I don't know, like you compare it with the, I don't know, the Kutsov of the Russians, it's night and day. Like it's so much more powerful offensively. Shadowhunter is great, it has better Citadel. Okay, it doesn't have ablative armor, but at some point you have to wonder, like if you really want ablative armor, or if you want a ship that can actually do real damage to your opponent, and with focused gunnery it will do a lot. I love this ship. You should always bring as many as you can, because it's so good. But you know what is also very good? The Hokkaido. It costs 125 points, but it goes to armor 7 with Citadel 13. Very good. It loses focus gunnery, which is really hard. Like you would really love it otherwise, but it gains flag barrage too, so you can make a little joke. It's always good to have some flag barrage. And it gains heavy broadside, which is very good. It means that at brawling range, like point blank range, it will start to pile up a lot of damage on top of all its weapons. And it has a rear gun battery, so it wants to be showing its side to the opponent. And a pack of 2 or 3 Hokkaidos in the middle of the board is going to be no joke, especially even more if you put them next to the ship we've just talked about, like the Shinzanyoi. It will bring them to armor 9, and then it's just fun. Like it's so good. And you also have then the Kanagawa, what to say, 90 points. So think of, this is the same price as a Kutsov. This thing has heavy torpedo salvos. This thing has heavy broadsides and maritime patrol, which is whatever. But for 90 points, and this thing as Shadowhunter, it will throw a lot of torpedoes with heavy torpedo salvos, and it will go at point blank range fast because it will deploy where it wants and have heavy broadsides. I mean, bring 3 of those as well. Like, they're so efficient, they're so good. Like, I love them. I will not say this all the time for every ship, but they're so good. Like, there is no bad choice between these 3 ships. No bad choice. Then you have the Honshu, which is, okay, this one is a bad choice. It's basically the same as the Kanagawa. It costs 3 points more, but it gains Pack Hunter. So if you have 3 of them, they have some bonuses. Okay. The only thing that is quite worth it on him is this Pack Hunter, because you have only standard broadside and standard torpedoes. I mean, what? Why would you do that? Okay, Pack Hunter, fine, but it does not compensate. For sure, the Kanagawa is better. And yeah, if you have some Honshu, I would for now proxy them as Kanagawas on the table, because, like, yeah, you never want to pay 3 points to gain Pack Hunter and have only standard broadside and standard torpedoes. For sure, like, never. Then you have the Miyagi. Really good ship. Like, I really like the concept. It's a cruiser with basically, as you can see here, it has a little it is a little aircraft carrier from the rear. Very cool concept. It has a capacity of 2/2, so even when crippled it will keep sending the same number of SRS tokens. Very good. So it needs to lose 8 hull points to make the SRS stop, which means that, like, yeah, when you compare it to like the normal carriers from other factions, it has a heavy gun batteries, and okay, it will not have a capacity of 4, but it will always have a capacity of SRS of 2, so you can plan around, and it will be a good ship. And 120 points is usually what you pay for a carrier, so really good. It has torpedoes, it has full steam ahead as well, which means that it is fast. Like, I mean, I really like the Miyagi for 120 points. It's not as good as a carrier, as a dedicated carrier, but it will not degrade after 3 hull points. It will degrade after 8 hull points. So really liking the Miyagi. What I like a bit less is the Okinawa. It's 140 points. that is expensive. That starts to be expensive. The same defensive profile as the Miyagi, and basically exactly the same, except you have 2 heavy gun batteries. I like it, but it's a bit expensive for what it does, especially when you compare it to the other dedicated cruisers that you had before, like the Hokkaido or the Osaka. It is much more expensive, and the only advantage is the carrier capacity, and there are some other ships, especially the Koreans, that can provide you with SLS better than this. There is one trick you can have, is that it has Vanguard, so it moves before the game. So let's remember Shadowhunter, so you go wherever you want, then you make a free move of 5 inches before the first turn, and then you can activate it, and then you have a big range to send your SLS token within 40 inches. So effectively 45 inches because you have Vanguard. That is really good, and it means that you will put an SLS token on whatever you want turn 1, which is very good to trigger spotter if you have some artillery ships, and the Chinese especially have some very good ones. So if you want to trigger spotter, a single Okinawa is a good deal. And let's finish the frontline cruisers with the Ishikawa and the Yamaguchi. There are those that support the squid, how we call it, the cheetah escort tokens, and the Ishikawa is fine, like it 110 points, mine layers, which is okay, good. Moon pools, which boost the cheetahs at point blank, very good. And yeah, nothing crazy about the Ishikawa, but it's a good deal if you want a single one to provide a moon pool to boost the cheetahs, good. The Yamaguchi now, it costs 130 points, but you get armor 7, the same as you would have for the Hokkaido, and you get focused gunnery back, which is good. It's basically an Hokkaido without a heavy broadside, but it has both the armor 7 and the focused gunnery that the Osaka had. So that is already very good, very good. Plus it has a good fray value, and it means that you can have some Yamaguchis, and then you put some cheetahs that will be boosted directly on the unit of Yamaguchi, and then you have a unit that probably wants to be in strategic reserves, but when they will arrive, they will be quite tough, armor 7. They will have their like 2 heavy gun batteries per ship with focused gunnery, wow, with a good fray, and they will board very efficiently with the cheetahs. So all in all, very good ship. Expensive, yes, for 130 points, but they really fulfill a different role than the Hokkaido. The Hokkaido are more brawlers with their extra small gun batteries and heavy broadside. The Yamaguchis are more efficient with their heavy gun batteries thanks to focused gunnery, and they are better boarders. Alright, now we go to the Japanese support cruisers. You have the Kensai, which is the default one, 100 points for the submarine, single heavy torpedo salvo, okay. It gets submarauder, but I'm not sure you should use it, because then you shoot at crippled value, and it's like you shoot at extreme range, you don't need to teleport around to do what you want to do. Plus you already have Shadowhunter, like why? Like I would not recommend it, because the rule of submarauder does not fit the Kensai very much. Not a huge fan of it. Yeah, you have better. Then you have the Ryujin. Costs 50 points more, you lose some order, whatever. But you gain an extra heavy alchemical rocket right here and Skyfire, which means that these heavy alchemical rockets will roll blank against high-level units. It's very good actually. I have to say, like, it's good. If there was not the Mizuchi, I would say like it's absolutely consider it. If you know your opponent is gonna have some air units, for sure, bring 2 or 3 of those. They're gonna have heavy torpedoes at extreme range against the surface or submarines, and then their heavy alchemical rockets with Skyfire against the aerial. You cannot go wrong with them. They're good, but I have to say I prefer the Mizuchi. It's basically a small Hachiman. Each of them can send 2 exosubs tokens, and we have seen how good they are. Like each of them can have 5 dices with devastating and Oming as well, let's not forget. So wow, and it costs the same as the Ryujin, so 150 per model. That is great because it knows what it wants to do, the Mizuchi, because both the torpedoes and the exosubs are 40 inches range, extreme range. And so yeah, just stay far away from the enemy, send your heavy torpedoes and send your exosubs and just sink stuff around. And if you put 1 Mizuchi on each side of the achievement, they're gonna look so cool all together, and it's amazing, and it's a very cool themed fleet, and I absolutely want to put that on the table. But yeah, basically one of the best versions you can build for now. Because yeah, everything I say, it's for the current version of the rules, of course, so all of this can change with some updates, but recently there hasn't been many updates because your game is very balanced right now. This is just to tell you like which are the playstyle of each unit. And then you have the Kakutsushi, which has an inbuilt magma caster. We've talked about the mecha-launching just before. It's good, actually. It's good because it can have a good attack at point-blank range or closing range, and I would say it is good especially if your enemy has a strategic reserve and they want to get close to the Kagutsushi. This means that it can, on the first turn, for example, when the enemy is too far for the Mecha-caster, you can start to pop out some islands around you to protect you from enemy submarauders, for example. And because let's remember that submarauders cannot pop out of the water too close from islands. And then, if your enemy does get close to the Kagutsushi, the Mecha-caster is a very fine weapon to shoot at enemies that would get too close. So yeah, good ship. Then you have the Koromodako. This guy, it has a very specific role. Okay, hear me out. It costs 105. It only has a standard torpedo salvo, but it is very good with these little tentacles against submarauders, because it has a lot of rules against surface units or colossus. And if they are colossus and surface, it's even better. This means that it is meant to stay in the back. You can have one or two of those. Stay in the back, shoot your torpedoes, and when / if your opponent has submarauders, colossus, whatever that come behind your lines to attack your Hachiman, to attack your Matsumoto, your Mizuchis, etc., the Koromodako is here to just charge at them, do a ramming action, make sure they don't move with all the tentacles, and they're going to have so many bonuses. The Koromodako will be a huge threat to any Colossus that arrives on turn 2. It's such a threat that I think your opponent might be tricked into attacking the Koromodako instead of your Hachiman or whatever. And if your enemy's marauder goes out of the sea and attacks the Koromodako, and there is a Hachiman next, yeah, this marauder is not finishing the turn alive for sure. So yeah, very good defensive tool to have at least one against enemies' submarauders. And then you have the Umibosu. This guy also has a normal torpedo salvo. It's cheaper than the default one. It's at 90 points, and it always is gonna get a devastating ramming action. Amazing. How to use it? I would use this one in strategic reserve, because the torpedoes are not so good, and it really wants to succeed in making a ramming action. So keep it on the side, thanks to strategic reserve. Then put it, make it arrive on the side of the board. Maybe if you can ram some carrier, do this. But the main objective is that you will be a thorn in the back of your opponent. Don't charge the main battleship head on. You will not survive back. But if you can ram a carrier way in the back and then shoot your torpedoes and try to ram again the turn 3 or turn 4 something else, the Umibosu will be very annoying for your opponent, and at 90 points it's a very aggressively priced annoyance. Alright, what are the mass ones you get? You have the Kyoto. It is quite good now. I mean, it is hull 3, which is good for a small frigate. 28 points per model, which is cheap actually. It is very fast. Okay, Citadel 11, not nothing. Like it will, it's not crazy, because if you get Citadel breach, you will die. But Citadel 11 for 28 points is good. It has a normal gun battery, okay, and a Giant Slayer. Giant Slayer is great because with a Shadow Hunter, you can really put them exactly where your enemy's Mass 3 will be. So hopefully not a Congo, because that will be hard. But if your enemy has Mass 3 carriers, this kind of support ship, you can absolutely hunt them with Giant Slayer and all these guys. And yeah, well, in a large pack, you're gonna start to pile up the dices, rerolling blanks thanks to a Giant Slayer. For the price cost, they're very fast and very aggressive, and they can indeed hunt the enemy's giants. Then you have the Sakura, which is very close to the Crown Excalibur. The same profile, 2 gun batteries, one to the front, one to the rear. And of course, you want to shoot from the side because it has regular broadside as well. Some light torpedoes, which is a bit sad because the Excalibur, for example, had normal torpedoes, but these guys have Giant Slayers. So basically the same role as the Kyoto, a little bit more glass cannon, I would say. I don't know, like they're very good as well. I need to put them on the table to know. They are really focused against Mass 3 ships and higher, thanks to Giant Slayer. But if you do manage to get 2 or 3 of those crossing the T in front of a Mass 3, you're gonna be rerolling blanks, you're gonna be sustained, putting everything like 2 gun batteries plus broadside, everything together. Ooh, your opponent is going to have a very bad day in front of it. So very, very good Mass 3 hunters, those Sakuras. And then you have the Chubu, good cheap activation, 35 points per model, a normal torpedo salvo, which is fine for 35 points, Citadel 11, which is relatively high, I would say, for a Mass 1. Uh, the funny thing with those is they have elite crew for some reason, which means that if you make a pack of 6, you will have a lot of dices for boarding with elite crew, so rolling planks. That is going to be very fun. I would put them in a pack of 3 or 4 so they can contribute effectively, otherwise all your torpedoes will just get intercepted every time by the SDV and they will not be able to do much. But yeah, 3 or 4 Chubus are always a good choice. You have 3 in this box, absolutely fine. Play all 3 of them and have fun. And now that we have seen what was inside the Hachiman box, as you have seen there's a lot of things, I would like to take a second to see how to expand from this. Okay, you have all these ships, what you can get next. First of all, I would say, and this is my #1 recommendation, you can get the Empire starter set. This is going to be really good, especially if you're just starting the game, because of course, like in the Hachiman box, you don't have all the dices, etc., etc. You will get them in the Empire starter set. We've covered already in the video like what is inside, but basically you get more of the same, a little bit less. You have only 2 Japanese frontline cruisers, so you will have 5 in total. Same thing with the submarines. You will have 5 Mass 2 submarines in total. You will have 10 frigates, 5 Sakatas, and 5 Chubus, plus more escorts and SRS token and exosub, always very good. You can have an hilarious 20 cheetah tokens. Starts to be a lot. And the main thing is like you will replace the Akita with a Kongo. The Kongo is kind of like the Akita, let's say. It has 1 less heavy gun batteries to the front, but otherwise it's basically the same. It has an inbuilt shroud instead of shield, which is actually better. And it can also put a great wall to the rear. It plays pretty much the same. If you have both the Kongo and the Akita on the table in the center, it's going to be quite demoralizing for your opponent, I'm afraid. There is a named version which is the Oni, which is very fun. You can teleport around every turn with an interface generator. Amazing. But yeah, if you build, for example, the Hachiman or the Matsumoto, it's very good to have this Empire starter set and have the Kongo, so you will have a tough battleship to hold the center of the map, even if you don't have the Akita. All in all, it's a very, very good deal, this Empire starter set with all the cards and movement tools, etc. If you don't have any of these movement tools and stuff, absolutely worth it to have the Empire starter set. Maybe even better if you buy only 1 box to buy only the Empire starter set and later to buy the Hachiman, but these are 2 things that go very good together. And something quite funny, but since it is something I consider myself, I will quote it. I would consider, and this is the very first time I do this in this how to expand set, I would consider another Hachiman Battlefleet. Like if the Japanese Empire is your 2nd fleet and you already have some dice and stuff and you don't care about this, yeah, get another. I mean, it's so good. You absolutely do want to have both an Akita and an Hachiman on the Battlefleet, or an Hachiman and a Matsumoto, or a Matsumoto and an Akita. Like, you want that. Plus, you have more of the same. More Japanese frontline cruiser, more submarines, more Sakatas, more everything. And as you have seen, there are so many variants and they're all so good. You do want some Kanagawas, you do want some Osaka, some Hokkaidos, some Yamaguchis for their front lines, you do want some Izuchis, you want so many of those, and then you will have the numbers you want. Okay, it starts to be a lot, it's 170 pounds, but you have so much blasting, so many ships. This is it, you can play 2000 points games easily with all of this, change your list from one game to another, and that's it. You have all the Japanese ships you would ever want. And that is very good. I would highly recommend. Plus, they are so beautiful. Like, I have to say it here. I will not say every time, like, yeah, buy another box in how to expand. But this box is so good, and there are so many variants that you want that I would absolutely recommend that. And finally, something that is also very cool, these are also Japanese ships, is the Ika Colossus Squadron for 32 pounds. 32 pounds is quite cheaper indeed. You get 2 of these Ika Colossus. First of all, the models are great. You have more cheetah escorts, well, you should have enough, but those Ika Colossus do like to have cheetahs next to them as well. And there are 2 variants you can build them. One of them, of these Ika Colossus, is more shooting oriented. It's the one you see in the back, with a little heat lancets. Very, very good as always. But the one I really like is this one. There is a variant of the Ika Colossus that is more, melee oriented, with amazing ramming action, a great fray value, so you can board, and plus it boosts the cheetahs around himself. And yeah, this version is going to be an absolute deep striking nightmare, because you will go out of the ocean, you will ram something very efficiently, and then you will board it also very, very efficiently. And they are quite cheap in terms of points and in terms of money as well. So they are going to be very good. Like your Japanese army is very tough and will hold the center, and it can be sometimes hard to go and find the enemy carriers and stuff that are really hiding in the back. The Ikas are a very cool solution for this, and yeah, they just look great. And just a single of them in your list with like 2 or 3 cheetahs is going to impact your opponent's deployment for sure, because you know there is this thing that doesn't need to shoot, it just needs to ram and then to board, and yeah, it's going to be very stressful for your opponent, and I would highly recommend that. Alright, we arrive at the end of this video. I hope you found it informative. If you did, please give us a thumbs up, it helps us so much, and do give us a comment as well. Either you have a question and then we will try to answer it as fast as possible, or if you just want to tell us like, yeah, we like your videos and stuff, it really makes us happy. It's always nice to read, so please do that as well if you feel so. And until the next video, I hope you take care of yourself and those around you, and do remember to keep spreading the love all around. Bye.